Good morning, students. Welcome to the psychology class. And today we will be doing the remaining chapter of basis of human behavior. And earlier we have covered under this peripheral nervous system. And today we will be doing central nervous system, which is brain and spinal cord. So first part of brain, we will be doing hindbrain. Hindbrain is like hind means behind something. So it is this area of brain which is called hindbrain, and the first part under this is medulla oblongata. Second one is pons. This is medulla, this is pons, and above it we consider it midbrain. All of these three structures, midbrain, pons and medulla, combine to form brainstem. So first of all, I will be discussing medulla oblongata. Medulla is the lowest part. This is the lowest part in the continuation of spinal cord. Spinal cord is coming from down below, and it is the lowest part that connects spinal cord to the brain. It has neural centers that regulate basic life supporting activities like breathing and heart rate, etc. That's why it is also called as vital center of brain. And also these are autonomic activities, so it is also called as autonomic activity center of the brain. Now, the portion above medulla is called pons. This area is called pons, and pons means bridge in Latin language. Bridge means pons is a center portion, is at the central location to the midbrain and behind this medulla oblongata. So this is at the central position that connects hindbrain to the midbrain. That's why it is called as pons, means bridge. So it has medulla on one side and midbrain on the other side. It is basically the auditory center of our brain. It catches signals from our ears and also involved in sleep mechanisms, like when we dream, it is involved in that mechanism, and it is also important for movements and facial gestures. One of the important part of hindbrain is cerebellum, which is Latin for little brain, and it is of smaller size as compared to other parts. That is why it is called cerebellum. It is located near the brain stem, that is near the midbrain, pons and medulla, and it is highly developed structure. It has a wrinkled surface. It is basically important for maintaining balance and posture of our body, and it is also important for maintaining equilibrium in our body. That is basically the important thing for maintaining temperature of the body. Like we all know, human beings have 37 degrees Celsius body temperature. Below that, our body parts starts deteriorating, so it maintains that equilibrium also. And it is also important for coordination of muscle movements so that we can walk properly. Or cerebellum also stores memory for the information related to movements. That's why we don't need to remember ourselves how to walk and how to ride a bicycle once we learn it. And it receives commands from forebrain and relay them to muscles. So it is also a kind of small relay station which takes help of forebrain for the smooth functioning and movement of our body. After the hindbrain, the second important part is midbrain, and midbrain is called so because it is the middle portion between the forebrain and the hindbrain. Midbrain is relatively smaller area as compared to both these parts of brain, and it is basically important for RAS, that is reticular activating system, or ascending reticular activation system, as it is also called as ARAS. ARAS, that is ascending reticular activation system. Basically, midbrain connects forebrain to hindbrain, or we can say vice versa. It has special neural centers which are important for certain reflex actions, which includes visual as well as auditory sensations. RAS means, this reticular is a Latin word which means network. Reticulum is a Latin word, means network, and it is a kind of network that shares information from hindbrain to forebrain and from forebrain to hindbrain. That's why it is called reticular activating system. and it is very much important for arousal as well as for sleep. So it also controls the circadian rhythm of our body, which is important for the time when we get to sleep and when we wake up. It is also important for being alert, active, and it regulates our sensory information by helping in selecting what information is we have to store and what information that we have to neglect. So it is a very important body part, though it is small in structure, but it has vital functions to perform. Cerebral cortex consists of four lobes, which are frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. Every lobe has different localization, like its place is different, and every lobe has a different function to perform. So first of all, the frontal lobe, as the name suggests, it is in front area. This is our frontal lobe. It is basically important for all the cognitive functions like attention, thinking, learning, memory, reasoning. It also performs an important role for control of emotions while we are in a rage or while we are upset. One most common example is during exam, when you try to remember something, you keep on doing this gesture, and this is an important activity which I think has been carried on from our ancestors. Like everybody doesn't know that this area is important for thinking and for remembering and memory, but it is just a natural reaction, natural response to if we have to remember something. Then second is the parietal lobe. This is the parietal lobe. This is the parietal area, and this generally work on cutaneous sensations, means sensations from skin. It coordinates these sensation with the visual and auditory signals so that the real information reaches to the brain, and we can derive the actual meaning from the combination of all these sensations. The third one is the temporal. Temporal lobe is above the ear, and as it is located here, it is important for the auditory functions. It gains the stimulus, or it receives the stimulus from outside, and it is important for language functions too. Last one is the occipital lobe. Occipital lobe is situated at the back of our head, and it is important for visual stimulus, and it interprets the visual stimulus as it comes, and it coordinate it with our memory, and then provide the meaning to that particular visual stimulus. That's why these four lobes are important for us. Although I have described that these are different parts of brain, but actually the thing is that all these parts work in coordination with each other and are very important to perform properly all the actions, movements, and to make decisions according to the situation. So our brain work in a very accurate manner, and we derive meaning from each and every stimulus that we that enter our attention. The cerebrum further consists of two symmetrical halves, right and left, and these are called cerebral hemispheres. So this is right cerebral hemisphere and this is left cerebral hemisphere. These both are identical in structure, but they have different functions to perform, and they work in contralateral manner. Means the left hemisphere controls the right portion of the body and the right hemisphere controls the left portion of the body. So these have different functions. Like the right hemisphere controls the abstract thinking, which includes spatial relationship, pattern recognition, and other kind of creative activities, whereas the left hemisphere controls the language and behavior related to different languages. These two are connected with a bundle of fibers which are myelinated by and white in color. So this bundle of fiber is called corpus callosum, and the function of this corpus callosum is to send information from right to left hemisphere and from left to right hemisphere, and to share messages between both of them so that our body performs the every function with its full efficiency. The next structure under this is limbic system. Limbic system is an older structure as compared to other structures, which is carried on from the mammalian brain to this day, and it works in tandem with hypothalamus in maintaining internal homeostasis. That means maintaining internal balance of the body. As I told you earlier, under hypothalamus, that it regulates heartbeat, blood temperature, blood circulation and body temperature, etc. And it consists of two important structures, which are hippocampus and amygdala. Both are important for memory, but hippocampus is important for long term memory, whereas amygdala is important for emotional memory. Your all emotional events that are important to you are stored in amygdala, whereas your different kind of information is stored under the hippocampus. The next part in the forebrain is cerebrum. Cerebrum is also known as cerebral cortex, and it is one of the most important part of forebrain because it is the area which is important for performing cognitive functions and their regulation. It is important for performing high level cognitive functions, and it contains basically two-third area of the total human brain. And it has neuronal network, that means a network that consists of large bundle of neurons and axons, which are important for creative functioning and any kind of productive activities. Basically the activities under which the cerebrum on which the cerebrum has control are attention, perception, memory, language, reasoning, problem solving, learning, and other kinds of activities. Its thickness is 1.5 mm to 4 mm, and it is a very important part of forebrain. After the brain comes the spinal cord, and spinal cord mainly contains the reflex sections, which are also called as simple reflex sections. So before explaining the reflex sections, I'd like to tell you about what spinal cord is look like. Spinal cord has a structure like a rope, and it is basically a collection of nerve fibers. The basic function of spinal cord is to bring messages from the brain to the body, and from the body to the brain, and this it does through those nerve fibers. In the bundle of nerve fibers has gray colored matter in the center of all these nerve structures, and these mass of gray matter, it is important for this exchange of information, and it connects the brain and spinal cord with the other parts of our body. Two important functions of spinal cord are, first of all, it sends sensory impulses from lower parts of the body to the brain, and it brings the motor stimulations or the motor messages that are important for the muscles to perform from our brain to our body. The second one is the reflex actions. So what are reflex actions? Reflex actions are the involuntary or automatic movements that are important for our body, so that it saves itself or protect itself from any danger that presents itself without any alarm. So an example of reflex action could be our blinking of our eyes, like it's an automatic reaction. If any puff of air comes in front of our face, then we keep on blinking our eyes quickly so that the dust or that air doesn't enter inside. And one more example of reflex action could be like withdrawing of hand from a hot or very cold object. And there is also a famous example of knee jerk reflex, where when the doctor taps at your knee bone or below the knee bone, there is a sudden jerk in your knee, and you withdraw your leg from the earlier position. So this is called knee jerk reflex. All these reflexes are performed due to spinal cord and the coordination of spinal cord with brain. Otherwise these important reflex actions could not be performed. So today we have covered central nervous system, which includes brain and spinal cord, and we will continue this chapter in our next session. Thank you so much.